What's an American issue you are too European to understand? Why pay for the bigger soda cup if there are free refills for the small? McDonald's actually charges the same price for any size, so you might as well get the big one for when you leave. Is this real? Yes. Why do you only have two political parties in power that alternate each other? Why does Ross, the largest friend, not simply eat the other friends? It is true what they say. Americans are from Omicron Persei 7. Europeans are from Omicron Persei 9. Why do you pay the taxes yourself? It's way easier to have it done for you by your state/country, since you have to pay anyway. Tax companies lobbied the government so that the IRS department in charge of taxes cannot do them for us. Edit. Tax companies are businesses that sell software that help you to fill out your tax return or offer services to do your taxes for you. I'm surprised nobody has mentioned the prison population. Punishment is the mindset of the prison system. The threat of prison time is supposed to stop people from committing crime and treats it as solely a voluntary choice by someone who intends to harm another or society. The logic therefore means rehabilitation is useless and harsh consequences have to be used to prevent crime. This reflects the idea of personal responsibility in all areas of life, which is a major tenet of modern American philosophy. The end result is higher recidivism of criminal by circumstances, lack of treatment of mentally ill criminals, and continuing support of mandatory minimum sentences as well as execution. ICE's actually having data caps on wired connections in 2019. It's only in some states, but why does the cap to exist to begin with? We existed without it perfectly fine beforehand, and now we need one. Bullshit. It's just another way for Comcast to milk more money out of the consumer. Drinking at age 21. I mean for real, I live in Austria and the legal drinking age here is 16. You know what's weird to me? Drinking is 21, sex is 18, but joining the military is 17. And I believe some states let you drive at 16. Like, pick one. Want a weirder one? In the UK you can have sex at 16, but you can't watch porn till you're 18. You could film yourself having sex at 16 and not be able to watch it back until you're 18, and then you'd be classed as a pedophile watching child porn. Why the Kardashians are even close to popular at all? Don't worry, that confuses us Americans also. Agreed, celebrity culture in general makes zero sense to a lot of us. People literally dying because they cannot afford to pay for their insulin anymore. True story. I'm insulin dependent, and if I didn't have insurance, I definitely wouldn't be able to pay $400 for 15 days worth of insulin. Your bathrooms. What idiot thought it was okay to have very small doors with gaps on all sides in every stall? How are you supposed to quietly poop and stink and fart without everyone seeing you? I can understand why you are so afraid of unisex bathrooms. It's so you can see criminals coming, so you can shoot them with your gun. Pew pew poo poo pew pew. I've lived in the US for 30 plus years, and I still don't understand the fraternity/sorority system. I was in one, and I still don't understand. Showing prices before tax like my dudes. It looks cheaper but it ain't. IG mang IG. I'm Canadian and when I visited Europe one of my first purchases was like 4.99, and when the cashier scanned it and said that comes to 4.99 I was like surprised Pikachu face. Wait, what? School debts. A lot of this had to do with the federal government getting into the student loan business. They will basically give a loan to anyone with a pulse, regardless of what they are majoring in or how long they are going to school for. In turn, colleges raised their tuition costs because they knew that the government would foot the bill. Before the government got involved, college was actually affordable. Drinking tap water. I'm used to drinking tap water all day. I never buy water since it's the same as tap water. Edit. I was once on vacation in Africa, and that was my first encounter with how tap water is in some other countries. I could never imagine undrinkable tap water in Europe. American here. I grew up on well water. I love water out of the faucet. I don't buy water bottles either. Everyone does seem to have a Brita filter or some sorts or filter water from their fridge. That whole pledging allegiance to the flag thing. That's just so weird to us. If Germany started doing it, everyone would be shitting their pants. Ah shit, here we go again. Poland. Basically Poland's catchphrase. As I've not seen it yet, tipping culture. It's insane to me that in America, you're some social pariah for not giving a tip because the workers needed to live, but haven't thought HMM. Instead of giving them bonuses, why don't we have a system where they are paid a fair wage by their bosses? I mean, here in the UK we tip, but it's usually around 10% for very good service. In America it seems like 20% is the default for anything, and you have to do it, or you can't afford to eat out, which to me means it isn't a tip. There have been restaurants that have eliminated tipping in the US. They tend to lose a lot of servers. The double moral when it comes to sex and sexuality. A lot of us Americans don't understand this situation either. Lol, I love this thread. Non-American, I don't get this thing about America. What the hell? American, we don't get it either. Non-American, oh, why are we yelling then? Cause it's a large distance to scream across the ocean. The lack of paid maternity leave. The thought of having to hand my children to strangers and go back to work weeks after giving birth. Nobody seems enraged about what that must do to babies and mothers. I think a good portion of that is a lot of people just don't even know that there is an alternative. Until I started talking to people in other countries / paying attention to worldwide information, I was not even aware that American paid time off and maternity leave was shit. I was perfectly happy with my employer for providing me 2 weeks paid vacation that cannot be taken all at once, because that is significantly better than a lot of small employers like mine offer. So in turn you are grateful to your job for even allowing maternity leave, not getting mad that it is not longer. Asian here, but why wear shoes inside your homes? I live in Arizona. Scorpions is why. Exactly, shit ruins your day, and if it hits a nerve, can ruin far more than just a day. My mom got stung on a nerve and still can't close her left hand all the way after 15+ years. Why the healthcare system hasn't caused literal riots yet? I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that our health insurance is largely tied to our jobs. The majority of Americans get their health insurance from their employer. If you lose your job, you lose your health insurance. If you miss a bunch of work to demonstrate / protest / riot, you'll lose your job and insurance. Hell, in a lot of places, if you get arrested at a protest / riot, you could lose your job and insurance just because you got arrested. Not rioting or demonstrating. I mean, I'm French, so the bias is big here. Because it's so disruptive to most people's lives. If most of this country wanted to go march in DC, they would have to travel hundreds or thousands of miles. Even locally it's hard because you don't get off work for a protest and our law enforcement are armed to the teeth. So no riots at all really. Edit, I understand that protests are meant to be disruptive. I was just saying most people can't afford to travel, book a room, travel back, and make up for lost time. I do not mean disruptive in terms of the effects of the actual protest. It's true that the size of your country must be a big stop for most people. Haven't thought of that. Lunch debt. Why is that a thing? Why are the children being held accountable and unable graduate? It's a goddamn lunch. I once had a letter sent home because I was $20 in lunch debt. Pretty crazy how that is, but whatever. Edit, meant $2 lol. We make my son kindergarten lunch every day. He doesn't eat school lunch or breakfast. We get a letter every day saying he has no money in his lunch account. Getting really annoyed, I added $10 to the account just to stop getting letters. Now I get letters saying he only has $10 in his lunch account. Duck off. He doesn't eat lunch from the school. We sent a note back saying he doesn't eat lunch there. We give him lunch. We still get notices. Duck off. Edit. Seems there has been a slight misunderstanding. They aren't mailing letters to the house. The school has a folder they use for communications between parents and school that the student brings home every day. They send the letter in that folder. The obsession with and worship of your military. American work culture. Euro here. I have direct experience of working in high-tech office environment. US folk arrive in early and leave late. But productivity is rubbish. People seem to spend so much time wandering the corridors in our 37.5 hours. We easily I did as much as the US 50 minus 60 hours. We figured it was all about being seen to be a hard worker as job security was so flimsy. American work culture. Euro here. I have direct experience of working in high-tech office environment. US folk arrive in early and leave late. But productivity is rubbish. People seem to spend so much time wandering the corridors in our 37.5 hours. We easily I did as much as the US 50 minus 60 hours. We figured it was all about being seen to be a hard worker as job security was so flimsy. American here. At a previous job, I would typically work from home 2 days a week and go into work around 10 am to 10:30 am. I had a 90-minute drive each way. I would then leave work around 5 pm. Everyone else would go in at 8:30 am and leave around 6 pm. I was the only software developer, but would knock out tickets left and right, bug fixes, hot patches, new features, report pull-outs for the Bay folks, everything. I was easily doing the job of 3 or 4 developers, in addition to being on call 24/7, 365 to ensure that nightly batch processes ran correctly, otherwise business could not proceed as normal the next morning. I still got constant reprimands for not being in the office or coming in late/leaving early. So I started coming in by 9 am and leaving at 6 pm. My productivity dropped drastically and I stopped being on call on Friday nights and Saturdays as a result of being more tired, as my commute was now much longer, usually 120 minutes each way due to my commute now being smack dab in the middle of rush hour. I'm of the opinion that a shorter and or flexible work culture leads to greater worker productivity as the workers are more focused and relaxed. Black Friday. Every time I see a video about it I cringe. The behavior depicted is always utterly disgusting and so unbelievably primal. Over here we have a prolonged period where extreme sales are allowed, and even though there's more shoppers than normal, I can't recall people being desperate for a stupid discounted item. I've been to several Black Fridays in a ton of big stores and I've never seen anything close to what videos show. I also live in the Midwest and people are really into social here. I went to Walmart last time and I saw a maximum of maybe 20 people. How is the death penalty justified when 1. It's been proven that innocent people have been executed. 2. It doesn't make even a dent in the prison population, not even 0.01%. 3. It doesn't save money because of the necessary C.1 lengthy trial and appeals process. 4. It doesn't act as a deterrent because criminal psychology and basic common sense says that people who commit serious crimes do not believe they will be caught and do not weigh life sentences against capital punishment. Murder-suicide is quite popular. 5. Most of the world has abolished or is in the process of abolishing it, leaving pretty much only the worst names like North Korea, Saudi Arabia and China. We have a very twisted idea of justice here. Frequently it's just straight up vengeance trying to pass itself off as something more morally acceptable. I had this discussion with a family member. I brought up failure rates, bias, etc. Her answer? How would you feel if it was your family member murdered? You'd want them to pay. That's it in a nutshell. An emotional appeal that cannot be overcome by any amount of reason or logic, and insanely prevalent. The McDonald's ice cream machine being broken. People are saying it's broken because they don't want to clean it, but it's actually the complete opposite. It's broken because they do clean it. To clean the machine you have to off it, wait the hour or so it takes to defrost, spend the hour or so it takes to clean it all of it, turn it back on, wait the hour or so for it to freeze up, then fill it up with the ice cream mix. Employees are required to do this once a day and often do it the same time every day. So if you always go to McDonald's the same time every day, that's probably why the machine is always broken. It's a lot easier to say it's broken than to explain that is being cleaned. People assuming the employees are too lazy are honestly idiots. Making ice cream required items is easy as duck. You literally just pull a lever. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to my channel for more curated daily Reddit stories.